Hey guys, I'm Justin. You're watching the Denied Society video blog where we embrace gospel subculture. Let's talk about Christian hardcore. I started going to hardcore shows when I was 16, which at this point in my life was about 18 years ago. Good Lord, I am old. I was born and raised in Central Virginia, so a lot of my hardcore show experience came from Richmond, which, of course, in my opinion, I'm going to be biased, is like the mecca of hardcore. Some of the best hardcore bands that have ever played instruments came out of Richmond, Virginia. Down to Nothing, Naysayer, Brace War, Swamp Thing, Avail. Outside of Richmond bands, I like Ceremony, Trash Talk, Outbreak, Suicide File, American Nightmare, Panic, all kinds of bands like that. That's always been what I've been more into. So I've always leaned more towards that style of hardcore that's more punk driven. You know, I like breakdowns, they're cool, you know, the whole beatdown bands. A lot of them are fun to listen to, really good weight room music, but I've always preferred the more punkish Richmond style hardcore bands. And to my knowledge, Richmond never produced very many Christian hardcore bands, so if I'm being honest, I've never really been that into Christian hardcore. So what I thought would be a really cool project for me to do, and at least entertain myself if no one else, would be to list my 5 favorite Christian hardcore albums of all time. Now again, if we're being honest, not very many Christian hardcore bands have ever matched the sounds of the aforementioned bands that I grew up on, at least not to my knowledge anyway. If you know of bands that are similar to those bands that sing about Jesus, please let me know because I would love to hear them. For hard Christian music, metalcore and hardcore always tend to fall into the same category. Go on Google right now, type in Christian hardcore bands, more than half of them are going to be metalcore bands. Now as far as heavy metal and metalcore and that really clean metal sound, the Christians nailed it. I mean, home run. Nailed it. There are so many outstanding Christian metalcore bands out there. But as far as the punk hardcore sound that I've always been more drawn to, just not many Christian bands that I'm aware of have ever sounded like that. Now that I've given you the introductory spiel on what kind of hardcore I like best, let's dive right in. Number 5, Advent, Naked and Cold. It's heavy and fast, it's gritty and aggressive. It's just really, really good music. But aside from the sounds that come from the music, the lyrics are very wholesome Christian lyrics. I really, really love their singer's style of writing. He's not afraid to talk about the hardships of being a Christian and how it's not easy. Some of the songs on this album are even songs you could show your grandma the lyrics to and she wouldn't know if it was a hardcore song or a Christian hymnal. Just don't take Granny to an Advent show, especially one in North Carolina. I saw them once. They're absolutely insane live. All right, moving on. Number 4, Figure 4, Suffering the Loss. It's fast and punky, it's heavy and gallopy, just cover to cover a really, really good hardcore album. It's perfect music for all you West Coast circle pitters. Number 3, Comeback Kid, Wake the Dead. Super catchy riffs, really, really melodic music. I was fortunate enough to see these Canadian maniacs in New Jersey at Hellfest in 2004, and it was absolute insanity. From the moment they struck the first chord till the moment they walked off stage. Nothing but stage dives, circle pits. It was just a wild, fun time. Number 2, No Innocent Victim, Flesh and Blood. I can obviously hear the distinct difference now, but when I was a teenager, the very first time I ever heard No Innocent Victim, I was like, dude, this sounds like Agnostic Front, but they've got Christian lyrics. That's pretty wild, doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But I like this. I'm into it. They're another Christian band with really good, wholesome lyrics that you can let anyone read. Really, really good songs. Really, really good music. And then they've got that song, My Beliefs, with the dog pile, like Christian chant at the end. I would die tonight for my beliefs. All right, guys. The moment I'm sure you've all been anxiously awaiting for. Number 1, Zayo, Where Blood and Fire Bring Rest. Now remember earlier when I was saying the Christian hardcore and Christian metalcore always end up in the same category. They're just kind of one and the same. There's no separation. There's no dividing line between them. Well, that kind of just happened. Their music is dark. Their lyrics are dark. I love this band, not so much because of their music. Their music is incredible, don't get me wrong. Zayo was the very first hardcore show I ever went to. It was at Alley Cats in Richmond in 2001, if I'm not mistaken. Now, up until this point in time, I had been to quite a few punk rock shows, but never a hardcore show quite like this. For those of you who've never been to Richmond, It's an extremely rowdy place. I didn't know what I was in for. Here I am, this little 16-year-old kid, just ready to push mosh and slam dance, just like at the punk rock shows I'd been to before that. But these Richmond kids just started beating the hell out of each other when the bands were playing. This one show, this one experience, just opened my eyes to this whole new world that was the hardcore scene that I ended up getting involved in and just loving up until now, and probably for the rest of my life. And that's why Zayo made #1, was the sentimentality behind that band. As always, thanks for tuning in. Hit us up on Facebook and Instagram, and make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Take it easy, guys.